Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you once relied on no longer works. The strategies that led to success yesterday are irrelevant today. The relationships you thought were strong begin to fade. The habits that once made you feel productive now leave you feeling stuck. This happens to all of us at some point in life. The question is, how do we respond? Some people resist change. They cling to what's familiar, hoping things will go back to the way they were. Others embrace it. They adapt, they evolve, and they use change as a tool for growth. The difference between those who struggle and those who thrive isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It's the habits they build. Habits shape our lives more than we realize. The small choices we make every day determine who we become. And while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control the habits we develop. Some habits drain us, hold us back, and keep us stuck. But others, if we choose them, intentionally have the power to change everything. Today, I want to talk about 7 habits that can transform your life. These aren't just theories or quick fixes. They are principles that have been proven time and time again. If you commit to them, they won't just help you achieve success. They will help you build a life of purpose, fulfillment, and resilience. Let's begin. We all want to change our life. We read books, watch motivational videos, and listen to speeches, hoping that one day something will click. But change doesn't happen because we wish for it. It happens when we decide to change the way we think, the way we act, and the way we see the world. It all starts with self-awareness. Most of us go through life reacting to things rather than understanding why we react the way we do. We get frustrated when things don't go our way, but we rarely stop to ask ourselves why we feel that way. We blame circumstances, people, and luck, but we don't take the time to look inward. And that's where the problem begins. When we lack self-awareness, we operate on autopilot. We repeat patterns that don't serve us. We make decisions based on habits we've picked up over the years without questioning whether they actually align with who we want to be. Think about the last time you got angry. Maybe it was in traffic, maybe it was at a colleague, or maybe it was at yourself for not following through on something you promised. The emotion is real. But what's more important than the emotion itself is understanding what triggered it. Self-awareness is the ability to pause, to step outside of yourself and to ask, why am I reacting this way? It's about digging deeper and recognizing that our emotions are signals, not just surface level reactions. When you become more self-aware, you start to notice the stories you tell yourself. We all have narratives running in our minds, stories about who we are, what we're capable of, and what we deserve. Some of these stories serve us, and some hold us back. The problem is, most of us don't even realize we're telling ourselves these stories. We assume they're fact. I'm not good at public speaking. I'll never be able to lose weight. I always mess this up. These aren't facts, they're beliefs. And beliefs can be changed. One of the most powerful things you can do is to start questioning the beliefs you've held onto for years. Where did they come from? Who told you that you weren't good enough? Who made you feel like you had to prove your worth? And more importantly, are these beliefs even true? Self-awareness is about challenging the things you've accepted as reality and deciding what you actually want to believe. Another aspect of self-awareness is understanding your strengths and weaknesses. Too often we focus on fixing our weaknesses, trying to be good at everything. But the truth is, the most successful people in the world didn't get there by being well-rounded. They got there by doubling down on their strengths. They know what they're good at, and they lean into it. They also know what they're not good at. And instead of wasting time trying to fix it, they surround themselves with people who complement them. A lack of self-awareness is what leads people to make choices that don't align with who they truly are. It's why people take jobs they hate, stay in relationships that drain them, or chase goals that don't actually fulfill them. They're chasing what they think they should want instead of what actually resonates with them. But when you become self-aware, everything changes. You start to make choices that align with your value. You stop saying yes to things that don't serve you. You gain clarity about what actually matters to you. Self-awareness also means understanding your triggers. What makes you feel defensive? What makes you shut down? What makes you lash out? When you understand these things, you take control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. You learn to pause before reacting. You learn to communicate better. You learn to navigate difficult situations with more composure and clarity. One of the best ways to develop self-awareness is through reflection. Take time to sit with yourself, journal, meditate, ask yourself hard questions. The more you reflect, the more you'll start to notice patterns. You'll start to see where you keep getting stuck. You'll start to understand what truly drives you. And once you have that awareness, you have the power to change it. Most people go their entire lives without truly knowing themselves. They live according to other people's expectations. They chase validation. They avoid discomfort. But the people who truly change their lives are the ones who have the courage to look inward. Because when you know who you are, everything else falls into place. Discipline. The word itself often carries a negative connotation. We associate it with restrictions, rules, and a loss of freedom. We think of discipline as something imposed upon you, something that limits our ability to live the way we want. But what if discipline isn't the enemy of freedom? What if, instead, discipline is the very thing that unlocks it? Think about the people who are truly free, the ones who can travel the world without worrying about money, the ones who can walk into a room with confidence because they've built the skills they need, the ones who can say no to things that don't serve them. That kind of freedom doesn't happen by accident. It happens because at some point those people chose discipline. We tend to believe that freedom is about doing whatever we want whenever we want. But in reality, that kind of freedom is an illusion. If you spend your days indulging every impulse eating whatever you crave, spending money without thinking, skipping the work you know you should do, you might feel free in the moment. But over time, you'll find yourself trapped in poor health, trapped in financial stress, trapped in unfulfilled potential. The paradox of freedom is that the more you avoid discipline, the less free you actually become. True freedom comes from discipline. It comes from having control over your actions, your habits, and your mindset. It comes from making decisions today that will serve you tomorrow. It comes from choosing the harder path now so that your future self has options. Take financial freedom as an example. Everyone wants to be financially free. Everyone wants the ability to live life on their own terms. But financial freedom doesn't come from spending impulsively. It doesn't come from buying whatever you want without thinking. It comes from the discipline to save, to invest, to say no to things that provide short-term pleasure but long-term consequences. The people who are financially free aren't necessarily the ones who made the most money. They're the ones who had the discipline to manage it wisely. The same applies to health. We all want to be strong, to have energy, to feel good in our bodies. But that doesn't happen by accident. It happens when we choose discipline over comfort. It happens when we wake up early to exercise, even when we don't feel like it. It happens when we choose healthy meals over the instant gratification of junk food. It happens when we make the conscious decision to take care of our bodies, not because we have to, but because we understand that discipline today leads to freedom tomorrow. Discipline also applies to our time. How many of us feel like we never have enough time? Like we're constantly overwhelmed, constantly playing catch up? The truth is we all have the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between people who feel in control of their time and those who feel like time controls them is discipline. It's the discipline to say no to distractions, the discipline to prioritize what truly matters, the discipline to create structure instead of letting the day dictate our action. When you're disciplined with your time, you gain freedom, the freedom to focus, to be present, to actually enjoy life instead of always feeling behind. But here's the thing. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's not about rigidly following rules or never making mistakes. It's about consistency. It's about making the choice again and again to do what serves you in the long run rather than what feels good in the moment. It's about recognizing that every decision you make is either taking you closer to freedom or further away from it. The biggest mistake people make when it comes to discipline is thinking that it's a burden. But the truth is, discipline isn't something you have to do. It's something you get to do. You get to wake up early and take care of your health. You get to invest in your future by working on your goals. You get to control your time instead of letting it control you. When you shift your mindset and see discipline as an opportunity rather than an obligation, everything changes. And here's what's even more powerful. Discipline builds confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you follow through on something you committed to, you build trust in yourself. You prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are in control, that you don't need motivation or perfect conditions to take action. The people who succeed in life in any area are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who have the discipline to show up, even when they don't feel like it. The ones who do the work, even when no one is watching. The ones who understand that discipline is not the opposite of freedom, it is the foundation of it. We live in a world that thrives on transactions. Everything is measured what we give, what we get, what we owe, and what we are owed. Relationships, both personal and professional, are more transactional than ever. We network with people because of what they can offer us. We spend time with those who can help us get ahead. We even measure friendships based on what someone brings to the table. But the truth is, relationships that are built on transactions are fragile. They don't last. They exist only as long as both parties continue to get something out of them. Real relationships, the ones that truly change our lives, are not built on transactions. They are built on trust, on loyalty, on a genuine desire to connect. They are built not on what we can get, but on what we can give. The strongest relationships are not about keeping score. They are about investing in people in it because we expect something in return, but because we genuinely care. Think about the people in your life whom you trust the most. The ones you know will show up for you no matter what. The ones who don't disappear when you're going through a hard time. The ones who celebrate your success without jealousy and who support you even when there's nothing in it for them. The same applies to health. We all want to be strong, to have energy, to feel good in our bodies. But that doesn't happen by accident. It happens when we choose discipline over comfort. It happens when we wake up early to exercise, even when we don't feel like it. It happens when we choose healthy meals over the instant gratification of junk food. It happens when we make the conscious decision to take care of our bodies, not because we have to, but because we understand that discipline today leads to freedom tomorrow. Discipline also applies to our time. How many of us feel like we never have enough time? Like we're constantly overwhelmed, constantly playing catch up? The truth is we all have the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between people who feel in control of their time and those who feel like time controls them is discipline. It's the discipline to say no to distractions. The discipline to prioritize what truly matters. The discipline to create structure instead of letting the day dictate our action. When you're disciplined with your time, you gain freedom, the freedom to focus, to be present, to actually enjoy life instead of always feeling behind. But here's the thing. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's not about rigidly following rules or never making mistakes. It's about consistency. It's about making the choice again and again to do what serves you in the long run rather than what feels good in the moment. It's about recognizing that every decision you make is either taking you closer to freedom or further away from it. The biggest mistake people make when it comes to discipline is thinking that it's a burden. But the truth is, discipline isn't something you have to do. It's something you get to do. You get to wake up early and take care of your health. You get to invest in your future by working on your goals. You get to control your time instead of letting it control you. When you shift your mindset and see discipline as an opportunity rather than an obligation, everything changes. And here's what's even more powerful. Discipline builds confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you follow through on something you committed to, you build trust in yourself. You prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are in control, that you don't need motivation or perfect conditions to take action. The people who succeed in life in any area are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who have the discipline to show up, even when they don't feel like it. The ones who do the work, even when no one is watching. The ones who understand that discipline is not the opposite of freedom, it is the foundation of it. We live in a world that thrives on transactions. Everything is measured what we give, what we get, what we owe, and what we are owed. Relationships, both personal and professional, are transactional than ever. We network with people because of what they can offer us. We spend time with those who can help us get ahead. We even measure friendships based on what someone brings to the table. But the truth is, relationships that are built on transactions are fragile. They don't last. They exist only as long as both parties continue to get something out of them. Real relationships, the ones that truly change our lives, are not built on transactions. They are built on trust, on loyalty, on a genuine desire to connect. They are built not on what we can get, but on what we can give. The strongest relationships are not about keeping score. They are about investing in people in it because we expect something in return, but because we genuinely care. Think about the people in your life whom you trust the most. The ones you know will show up for you no matter what. The ones who don't disappear when you're going through a hard time. The ones who celebrate your success without jealousy and who support you even when there's nothing in it for them. Those are the relationships that matter. Those are the people who make life meaningful, and those relationships don't happen by accident. They happen because someone made the decision to prioritize the relationship over the transaction. The mistake we make is thinking that relationships should always be equal in the short term. We keep track of who called, who last, who did the last favor, who initiated the last conversation. But real relationships don't work that way. Sometimes you give more than you receive. Sometimes you are the one who shows up again and again without expecting anything in return. And that's okay. Because real connection isn't about keeping score, it's about showing up when it matters most. This applies not just to friendships and family, but also to leadership. The best leaders understand that leadership is not about authority or power. It's about relationships. It's about trust. A leader who prioritizes transactions will always struggle because their team will only follow them as long as it benefits them. But a leader who invests in relationships, who cares about people beyond what they can produce, creates loyalty that goes beyond any paycheck. People don't leave jobs because of work. They leave because they don't feel valued. The most effective leaders understand that people want to feel seen, heard, and understood. When you invest in relationships rather than just focusing on results, the results take care of themselves. Think about the people who have influenced your life the most. Chances are they weren't the ones who gave you money or opportunities. They were the ones who believed in you when no one else did. The ones who saw something in you before you even saw it in yourself. The ones who showed up for you in moments when you had nothing to offer in return. That is the power of prioritizing relationships over transactions. So, how do we apply this in our own lives? It starts with how we show up for people. Are we listening, or are we just waiting for our turn to speak? Are we helping because we care or because we expect something in return? Are we building connections or just making contacts? When we shift our mindset from what can I get to how can I serve, everything changes. We stop chasing short-term benefits and start building long-term trust. This doesn't mean you should let people take advantage of you. Boundaries are important, but there's a difference between setting healthy boundaries and treating every relationship like a business transaction. People can sense when they are just a means to an end. They know when they're being used, and those kinds of relationships never last. Some of the most successful people in the world understand this deeply. They know that success isn't just about skill or talent, it's about relationships. The opportunities that truly change our lives don't come from a resume or a LinkedIn profile. They come from people, from mentors, from friends, from unexpected connections. And those connections are not formed through transactional thinking. They are built through trust, through consistency, through genuinely caring about others. The irony is that when we stop focusing on what we can get from people and start focusing on how we can add value to their lives, we end up receiving more in return than we ever could have imagined. Not because we were chasing something, but because trust, loyalty, and real relationships always lead to opportunities far greater than any transaction ever could. Goals are important. They give us direction, they keep us focused, and they help us measure progress. But goals alone are not enough. Goals can be achieved and forgotten. Goals can be abandoned the moment things get tough. Goals can change based on circumstances. Purpose, on the other hand, is something deeper. Purpose is what gives meaning to everything we do. It's the reason we push forward when the motivation fades. It's the foundation that keeps us grounded when the mistake we often make is thinking that success is about setting and achieving goals. We believe that if we hit a certain number, reach a specific milestone, or accomplish a particular task, we will be happy, fulfilled, and successful. But how many times have we reached a goal only to feel empty afterward? How many times have we worked so hard for something, thinking it would change everything, only to realize it wasn't as fulfilling as we expected? That happens when we focus on goals without purpose. Purpose is the bigger picture. It's the why behind everything we do. Goals are just steps along the way. A person without purpose will set a goal, achieve it, and then feel lost. A person with purpose will achieve a goal and immediately see how it fits into a larger mission. They won't stop at one milestone because they understand that the goal was never the final destination. It was just part of the journey. Think about some of the most inspiring people in history, leaders, visionaries, change makers. They didn't just set goals, they had a purpose. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't just have a goal to give a great speech, he had a purpose to fight for justice. Steve Jobs didn't just set a goal to sell computers, he had a purpose to change the way people interact with technology. When you lead with purpose, people don't just follow you because of what you do, they follow you because of why you do it. The difference between goals and purpose becomes even more evident when obstacles arise. When people operate only on goals, they often give up when things don't go as planned. They think, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. But when you have a strong sense of purpose, challenges don't stop you, they fuel you. When you know why you're doing something, failure isn't a signal to quit, it's a lesson to learn from. A company that operates only on goals will focus on quarterly profits, market expansion, and performance metrics. But a company with a purpose will focus on making an impact, on creating real value, on changing people's lives. The irony is that companies with a strong purpose often outperform those that focus only on numbers. Why? Because people connect with purpose. Employees work harder for a cause they believe in. Customers stay loyal to brands that stand for something. Investors trust companies that have a long-term vision beyond short-term gains. On a personal level, leading with purpose changes the way we make decisions. When we have a clear purpose, we stop chasing things that don't align with our values. We stop saying yes to opportunities that don't serve us. We stop comparing ourselves to others because we are focused on our own mission. Purpose gives us clarity. It helps us prioritize. It makes it easier to stay disciplined because we are not just working toward a temporary achievement. We are building something meaningful. This is especially important in leadership. A leader who leads only with goals will push for results, demand performance, and expect people to meet targets. But a leader who leads with purpose will inspire people, connect with them on a deeper level, and create a culture where people want to give their best, not because they are required to, but because they believe in the mission. The best leaders don't just tell people what to do, they remind them why it matters. The challenge is that finding purpose isn't always easy. It requires reflection. It requires asking difficult questions. Why do I do what I do? What impact do I want to have? What would I keep doing even if there were no rewards, no recognition, and no guarantees of success? These questions force us to look beyond surface-level motivations and dig into what truly drives us. For some people, purpose is about service, helping others, making a difference in their community, or solving a problem they deeply care about. For others, it's about creation, bringing something new into the world, whether it's art, technology, or ideas. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or world-changing, it just has to be meaningful to you. The key to leading with purpose is to ensure that every goal, every decision, and every action aligns with that deeper mission. Without purpose, we risk climbing a ladder that leads nowhere. We risk achieving things that don't actually matter to us. We risk waking up one day and realizing that we spent years chasing success, but never actually feeling fulfilled. When we lead with purpose, everything changes. Work stops feeling like just work. Challenges stop feeling like roadblocks. Success stops feeling temporary. We wake up with clarity. We move forward with confidence. And most importantly, we create something that lasts, not just for ourselves, but for the people we influence along the way. Change is inevitable. It's the one constant in life, yet it's the one thing that most people resist. We get comfortable in routines. We rely on what has always worked. And we assume that the way things are today is the way they will always be. But the truth is, the ability to adapt is what separates those who survive from those who thrive. Adaptability is not just about adjusting to change, it's about embracing it, leveraging it, and using it as a tool for growth. Look at the world around us. The most successful companies, leaders, and individuals are not necessarily the smartest, the most talented, or the most experienced. They are the ones who adapt. They are the ones who see change coming and adjust before it's too late. Blockbuster was a giant in the movie rental industry until it wasn't. Why? Because it refused to adapt when the world moved towards streaming. Meanwhile, Netflix, which started as a DVD rental service, saw the shift, embraced it, and transformed itself into one of the biggest entertainment platforms in the world. The same principle applies to people. The most successful individuals are not the ones who stick to what they know. They are the ones who continue learning, evolving, and adjusting to new circumstances. Technology changes, markets change, industries change. If you are unwilling to change with them, you risk becoming obsolete. But if you embrace adaptability, you stay ahead of the curve. Adaptability isn't just about survival in business. It's crucial in every aspect of life. Think about relationships. No relationship remains the same forever. People grow, circumstances shift, challenges arise. The relationships that last are the ones where both people are willing to adapt to those changes rather than resisting them. Whether it's a friendship, a marriage, or a professional relationship, the ability to adjust, to compromise, and to evolve together is what keeps connections strong. In leadership, adaptability is one of the most important traits. The best leaders understand that the world is constantly changing. They don't cling to old ways just because that's how it's always been done. They listen, they learn, they pivot when necessary. A leader who refuses to adapt will eventually lose the trust of their team because people follow those who can navigate change, not those who fear it. The challenge is that adaptability requires a mindset shift. Many people see change as a threat. They feel insecure when things are uncertain. But the truth is, change is only a threat if you fight against it. When you embrace it, it becomes an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn new skills, to explore new ideas, to step out of your comfort zone, and to grow in ways you never expected. Think about the people who have achieved great things. Almost all of them faced moments when they had to adapt. Athletes who suffer career-threatening injuries and reinvent themselves to stay in the game. Entrepreneurs whose businesses fail only to come back stronger because they learned from their mistakes. Artists who evolve their style over time instead of staying stuck in one era. The ability to adapt is often the difference between those who fade away and those who leave a lasting impact. The key to adaptability is curiosity. People who are adaptable are always asking questions. They want to understand the world as it evolves. They are open to new perspectives, even when those perspectives challenge their current beliefs. They don't assume they know everything. They are always willing to learn. Another crucial element of adaptability is resilience. Change is uncomfortable. It forces us to confront the unknown. But those who are adaptable don't let fear stop them. They push through discomfort because they understand that on the other side of change is growth. Perhaps the most important aspect of adaptability is the willingness to take action. Many people recognize the need for change, but they hesitate. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions. But adaptability isn't just about knowing when to change. It's about having the courage to act, even when the future is uncertain. When you develop the habit of adaptability, you become unstoppable. No matter what life throws at you, career shifts, technological advancements, personal challenges, you have the ability to navigate it. You don't just survive change, you use it as a catalyst for success. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's not about making big dramatic shifts all at once. It's about small, consistent habits that shape who we become over time. The habits we've talked about today: embracing discipline, prioritizing relationships, leading with purpose, adapting to change. These aren't just strategies for success. They're principles for living a meaningful life. The question is, what will you do with this? Will you let these ideas fade away like just another motivational talk, or will you take action? Because in the end, knowledge means nothing without execution. Every great leader, every successful person, every fulfilled individual, none of them got there by accident. They built the habits that shape their future, and so can you. The choice is yours. If this message resonated with you, don't let it stop here. Growth is a journey, not a destination. Take these lessons, apply them, and watch how they transform your life. If you found value in this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. And remember, success isn't about what you know, it's about what you do with it. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing forward. I'll see you in the next one.